So thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Really excited to have everyone here to celebrate with us. We have a lot of fun things in store. So let's jump on in and share a little bit about what our plan is for tonight. We're gonna start off with a grounding activity and some time to reflect. So we'll have a poem reading. We'll be doing some individual reflection and drawing. So if you don't have a pen and paper nearby, it would be a good time to go grab some. And we'll be celebrating our member leaders. And like I said, we'll have 2 breakouts for informal networking where you can say hello to all of your ASAP friends. We'll be spending time celebrating the accomplishments of our network and hearing appreciation stories from members. So if you have an appreciation story that you want to share, you can raise your hand later and we'd love to hear that story from you. And we're gonna try to take a group photo on Zoom and it'll be a lot of fun. So tonight we're here to relax, celebrate, and enjoy each other's company. And we just ask that you come in to our early grounding activities with an open mind. We'll be tapping into the creative side of you that we do in our other meetings. So, we're not here for perfection. It's just for you to reflect individually on the past year at ASAP. So, and if you don't feel like you want to do that right now, then take a break and come back when you're ready. But to really ground us in the space and where we are tonight, Brian has prepared. Oh yeah, thanks, Beth.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So as always in our ASAP meetings, we want to just set our meeting norms. So we ask that you be present, whatever that means to you, puttering around in your kitchen, getting dinner ready, or being at a comfy space or at your desk, whatever that looks like, having your video on or off, whatever is most comfortable for you. And take care of yourself. Take a break when you need it. That's fine. And make sure to take care of others that are in the room too. Just respecting to give everyone space and time to share tonight. We're going to be opening the floor up a lot to you all. So just make sure that if you've spoken already, that you give a turn to someone else. And anything that's shared in this room, as always, it stays in this room. So now we'll hand it over to Brian for our poem. And Brian Smoliak is an entrepreneur on purpose, a climate scientist by training, and a servant leader by heart. He first encountered ASAP in 2019 at the Climate City Expo in Asheville, North Carolina, and again in 2022 at a climate resilience happy hour in his hometown of St. Paul, Minneapolis. Brian participated in the ASAP hosted Great Lakes Climate Service Provider Academy and recently joined ASAP's private sector interest group in his role as a partner at 2 Degrees Adapt, which is also one of ASAP's organizational members. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, Brian, and we'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you all. And I'm joining you today from my home in Hopkins, Minnesota, which is located on Dakota land. I wrote this poem that I'm about to share with you after a climate grief workshop that I attended back in 2019. It's facilitated by the organization Climate Generation. And if you're interested, you can find it in a collection that they produced called Eyewitness, Minnesota Voices on Climate Change. And I guess just the context is that, as a scientist, being trained as a scientist, I'm typically immersed in facts and figures and data. And sometimes even feel like I'm sort of trained to set emotions aside. And so my goal with this poem was really to kind of allow myself to sit with my feelings and to really engage my senses. So this is called Do You Sense It? Did you hear that? The whippoorwill hidden in your heart, singing a song of warning? Did you smell that? The south wind, your exhalation, fueling stronger storms. Did you see that? Glimmer of light shining silently on the horizon. Did you taste that? Mani, life-giving water moving through you now like a watershed? Did you touch that? Minomen, wild rice, bowing in reverence as it grows on the water? And do you sense the new way inviting us again into the joyful murmur of partnership? Thanks.
Thanks so much, Brian. That was really, really awesome. And I'm glad you brought in that piece of, science and data, because that's really where all of this opening session came from. I don't know if Vidya's on here tonight, but I want to credit Vidya for helping me think about integrating art into my practice. And that's kind of where all of this activity is coming from tonight. One second, I'm letting my dog out. She wants to join in. So we're gonna take some time to reflect together, because I'm sure we don't all take time to do that every day. So during this exercise, Beth, if you want to bring the slides up again, on the screen, you'll see just a smattering of different things we've done at ASAP this year. And the question that I hope you all can ask yourself during this drawing exercise is, what makes ASAP special? So some of the things you see on the screen might be why ASAP is special to you, or there might be a different reason. So I invite you to take some time to quietly reflect on what that question of why is ASAP special right now. And we'll take about 3 to 5 minutes to do this. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to give you some time to quietly reflect, because we all deserve that time, but probably don't take it for ourselves as often as we should. So we want to provide it for you here tonight. And I'm pulling up a playlist here. Well, actually, I won't be able to do that because Beth is sharing. Okay, great. Seeing many folks turning their cameras back on. So I hope that was a nice experience for you all. Give you some time to remember why we're all here, and center in of why we're happy and what we have to celebrate of being part of ASAP today. So like I mentioned, we'll have time to talk about what you wrote down, drew in our breakout groups later. But for now, if you want to post that in the chat, you're invited to, or you can talk about it in your small groups later. But now I'm going to hand it over to Emily to get the celebration going.
Awesome. Thanks, Brianna. And thank you to our fearless leaders, Lily and Susie, for helping to guide that exercise and all the other amazing exercises they have related to really being mindful about where we are in our space and time as adaptation professionals. So I'm Emily Wasley. I'm the ASAP president, and I'm calling in today from Pacific Grove, California, the ancestral territories of Rumson. Thank you so much to all of you for joining this afternoon or evening, and for just all the amazing energy, insights, leadership, strength, and kindness each of you bring to our ASAP network. I'm sure I haven't met all of you before, but I do consider you family. As Brianna and Beth have mentioned, we're dedicating this evening to celebrating you, the amazing ASAP members. Without you, this would not be the amazing network that we have. And today is our chance to virtually, although I'd love to be in person with you all, but to virtually celebrate all the ways that we work together, support one another, and move climate adaptation and resilience action forward in our individual communities, our organizations, companies across the whole of North America. Our shared goal as an ASAP organization is to really move our communities and world towards a more connected, supported, and resilient future. And ASAP is definitely the place where adaptation professionals like me, like you, and all of us collectively come to ensure that we're pursuing a transformative adaptation vision that centers justice and equity in all of our work. And we come to ASAP knowing that we're not alone in this journey. Some of us can remember the days when we couldn't even use the term climate change in conversations. Then we found adaptation to be a hard sell. when we were all up against, the decision of what climate mitigation versus adaptation. We have to do one or the other. Now that people are on board with the fact that we need to do both, we do have amazing opportunities within organizations, agencies, and departments where we work, where we have teams dedicated to adaptation or teams dedicated to resilience. But there are still folks that are feeling alone on an island. They may be the only person in their organization who's working on adaptation or resilience, and that can be really hard. But we know more confidently than ever that this lone adaptation professional at an institution is very quickly becoming a thing of the past. Our field is growing interest and recognition of the need for this field, and for the professionals that you all have become, are becoming, and are leaders in this adaptation space are so needed for an equitable and effective adaptation and resilience strategies that are growing across the United States and in the communities where we live and work. I wanted to share with you some exciting statistics about ASAP from last year and how we've kind of grown over the past year. So over the past year, individual memberships have increased by 30%. Individuals come and join ASAP across all sectors and all regions, across, as I mentioned, North America. So this includes Canada, and I think some other areas within North America, and Beth can correct me if I'm wrong, but we also have individuals from different racial, cultural, and varied economic backgrounds. While ASAP membership is still very much dominated by white people, and as a network founded in people joining by knowing a friend or colleague who invited them, this is a demographic trend that is difficult to shift. We've seen an increase in BIPOC members, and we hear continuous message that the ASAP network is inclusive and welcoming, and a space for all adaptation professionals, but we still have a long way to go. So we do have our 5-year action plan and Jedi statement and commitments to continue prioritizing diversity and inclusion, justice, and equity across our membership. So we're making progress, but again, we still have a ways to go. But with your help, we can get there. I am positive we can. The number of organizations joining ASAP is also growing. We have 50% more organizational members from last July, which is super exciting. So that includes leading justice and equity organizations like the Chisholm Legacy Project, trusted experts of like Union of Concerned Scientists, major consulting and technical services providers like MITRE and Jacobs, educational institutions like Yale School of Environment and Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and of course, we come and continue to rely on nonprofits and social benefit corps like 2 Degrees Adapt, Adaptation International, Fairlawn Strategies, and Second Nature to secure and guide our work. So welcome to all of you who are new organizational members. We are so excited to have you as part of our family. I can't wait to partner with you on adaptation projects and fields and topics moving forward. And also, the members that you have exceeded the output in hours, energy, and products of any time in the past. So we have, as members, have joined in over 1,000 hours of peer-to-peer learning meetings and groups. We've led production of policy guidance resources to the highest levels of government, shared knowledge and expertise through trainings, community engagement, principles of adaptation practice, and funding and finance. There's just so much to be grateful for and to celebrate tonight. So I'm so excited that we're having this event and that we are able to come together. We know that our work requires deep patience, kindness, relationship building, authenticity, and trust. Our call to act with urgency, intentionality, and in relationship with social justice and climate justice advocates is precisely why the ASAP network is so necessary and important today. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart to all of you who are advancing this critical work. I'm so grateful to be in this community with you, to share this work with all of you, and to be together with you all tonight to celebrate some of those accomplishments. Before I pass it over to Beth, I do want to thank her and the ASAP team for all of the amazing work that you do every day to support us as members, to support the board, to support the community more broadly. We wouldn't be here without you, so thank you. And Beth, over to you.
Thanks, Emily. Thank you so much for that introduction. So I am Beth Gibbons. I'm the executive director at ASAP. So I get to have the honor of stewarding this network and getting to know many of you, but many people in ASAP I don't know, because it is a network that's growing in a community that's growing and a topic that I think is growing in the attention that it's receiving. And so this is a really exciting time to be in the work. I'm based in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is in Southeast Michigan on ancestral and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe people and the Wyandot people. And I use she, her pronouns. And I'm gonna kind of pick up on how Emily gave us this like setting of what it is that we're celebrating, having so many people here in this network, having so much that's being produced, having so much opportunity ahead of us to keep doing more and together, and to do it with intentionality, to do it in a way that is like rooted in our care for one another and our care for our communities. And that work is possible, and it is shown through, I think, this amazing montage slide, which Brianna started us out with, which kind of shows this picture of so much work that has happened over the past year through member leadership. And now I just want to walk us through, what does that look like when we talk about the efforts that members are driving? So some of these things you all know, like the back of your hand at this point. Some things are new. We talk about our peer learning groups as the heart of our network and where we see most of our members engaging. Our groups are topical, so it's where we lean into our value of something for everyone, not everything for everyone. It's where we lean into our values of trust, reciprocity, and we find groups that really align with the passion and the moment of our field. Currently, our peer learning groups are our private sector adaptation professionals group, which fosters innovation and collaboration among private sector for-profit climate service providers. Our policy practice group, which works to understand and shape adaptation policy to strengthen the context in which ASAP members operate and advance professionally at all scales. Our professional opportunities and adaptation group, which helps members understand how to find an opportunity or job in the adaptation field, how to improve their skills and work on networking with one another. Our convening climate collaborators group is a space to connect, learn, share, and design collaborative solutions to advance the adaptation agenda with other professional organizations. And our funding and finance group is where we've been convening national leaders to discuss the barriers and opportunities that communities face to design climate resilient projects. It is an output from our Ready to Fund Resilience program, and now it is a peer learning space which is bringing together concepts and leaders from all sides and aspects of the adaptation finance community. Our peer learning groups continue with our affiliated groups. Our affiliated groups are places where ASAP members take ideas and energy that have been generated from previous member-led interest groups, and they convert them into opportunities for peer learning, connection, and capacity building within and outside of the adaptation community. And these make me really emotional because they're spaces that were often always started within ASAP. And they just, they grow outside of the network, and they continue to bring ASAP members together, and then they reach out beyond the ASAP network itself. And like, it is the embodiment, like the heart and breath of living adaptation out into our communities. I love all of our groups, but affiliated networks fill me with so much joy. We also have here our Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. This committee serves the dual purpose of defining and holding ASAP accountable to our Jedi goals and supporting members in learning about and incorporating Jedi principles and practices in their adaptation work. This group meets quarterly to talk wholly about how are we thinking about justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in our work, and has subgroups that are a community of practice and an accountability group that holds ASAP accountable. We'll hear more about some of that work later tonight. Oh, our mentorship program, it connects and emerging climate resilience and adaptation professionals with accomplished members. This program provides members a 9-month framework and a lifetime of connections. Over 180 people have gone through the ASAP mentorship program as mentors or mentees at this point. It's an amazing program. Our current mentors are listed here, and our mentorship co-chairs who make this program possible. ASAP groups come together for a number of different reasons. Some groups are connectivity networks, which is where they connect with one another, learn what each other are doing. Some groups are alignment networks. It's where they come together and they start to mold each other into a shared set of practices, a shared set of promising and even best practices. And some of our spaces are production spaces. And this is where members come together to produce products that are then put out into the rest of the world, to the membership, to the community at large, and to articulate values and principles of our shared community of practice. Our working groups include the organizational member work group, where organizational members are talking about what does it mean to hold each other accountable to the ASAP Code of Ethics, designed for individuals, but applicable for all. Our Code of Ethics group is the group that has written and has returned to ensure that our Code of Ethics is staying aligned to our justice and equity principles, and also staying relevant to our work today. And our policy outputs list the number of people that have been engaged in us providing comments to the SEC, to FEMA, to the White House, to whomever. I mean, there have been the highest levels of government coming to ASAP asking for guidance on what does it mean to do adaptation and resilience work with justice and equity at its center, with data being informing their decisions. And those outputs have been produced through the leadership of our members. And our board and our staff kind of, I don't know if to call them the backbone or call them the ribs of this, but are so critical. Our board of directors is a blend of a governance and a working board. Board members don't get to just come and sign off on financial documents once a year. They are called to do the work, to be part of the network, to know the network, and to engage in where we are heading as an organization and to help steer us there, and also be part of the effort to get us there. We work collaboratively with them, with a team with whom I feel immensely lucky every single day to get to work with. Rachel Jacobson, Brandon Nels, Kyla Bloyer, Megan Putnam, and Jeff Fournier make my life better because I spend a lot of my life at work. And when you get to work with people who you respect and who love what they do together, you feel it. And so with all of that, oh, one more slide. We have our organizational members, kind of like our new piece of the work that we started introducing organizational membership a couple of years ago. Some folks might say, I've been here as an organizational member since the beginning. A few have, many folks are new. We started organizational membership as a vehicle by which we thought ASAP would be able to, one, reach more people. We would be able to scale our impact by bringing organizations into it. And we'd also be able to really support our members because we would be able to speak business to business to the organizations where our members were working and to say, are you upholding these values? Are you living into the principles of practice? Are you being the place where we want adaptation professionals to work, to feel supported, to be resilient in their own being? And then are you accelerating work in the way that upholds our values? And so our organizational members are shown here. When people join ASAP, they go through the process of needing to understand that this is a network of trust, reciprocity, member leadership, something for everyone, not everything for everyone, and that there's going to be open access and transparency. And if that doesn't work for you in your organization or your company's mission or model, then it's probably not for you. And so I feel really proud of the groups that have joined and made that commitment that they will commit to those values. So much over the last year, year alone. And I want to, so we are kicking off right now an annual giving campaign. A lot of the work that ASAP does, we do from general fund support. And, each year the membership grows and we want to keep supporting the same great programs that were here when ASAP was a small organization. And as we deepen our commitment to equity, we become a bigger organization, a more diverse network. We really are always looking for ways that we can make sure that we have the sustained support to keep on building this organization and having it be someplace that's open and accessible for all people. I encourage you to think about becoming a donor to ASAP. I encourage you to think about sharing with your colleagues and your friends and your family that ASAP is a place that is meaningful to you and that you would love to see them supporting. I'm happy to talk with anybody one-on-one about becoming a donor. I also encourage you to think about pushing this out and sharing it with people who you want to say, this is a place that I care about. This is a place that's helping me to do my climate work. And it's the way that we're able to support some of those really key core programs that make ASAP ASAP.
Awesome. I'm sure that you all feel so inspired having listened to Emily and Beth and just the depth of passion and commitment to the network. And I feel so honored and privileged to get to work with them every day. I don't work with Emily every day, but I work with her often enough. And it's just so wonderful to see all of you here. I am filled with joy at seeing all of your faces, at seeing your kitchens. Please show us yourself canning your tomatoes in your kitchen. We would love to see that. So what we're going to do now is go into Zoom breakout rooms. Of course, this is an ASAP meeting, so it wouldn't be a meeting without Zoom breakout rooms. Really, the number one thing for these breakouts is to just hang out, be with one another, celebrate each other, celebrate our work together. And I really, oh yes, Susie, that looks beautiful. And you should really do that however is most meaningful to you. Introduce yourself if there are people in your room that you don't know. If you feel inspired to share your drawing, you can do that. Talk about what makes ASAP special to you. Learn about what makes ASAP special to someone else. Share about your work. Learn about someone else's work. Share about your cat. Learn about someone else's cat. And if you feel so inclined, we do have a Jamboard, of course, where you can document your reflections. So we'd love to see folks working on that in real time if you'd like. Totally optional. And so with that, we are going to break out into small groups to hang out and be with one another.
Reception. And so we are going to talk about some things that members have just been doing like kind of amazing pieces at over the last year. We're going to highlight 3 areas of member actions: our mentorship program, our policy practice member-led interest group, and our justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion committee. And I am going to kick that off just by moving us right into talking about like, what is the work that ASAP does when we think about advancing people's careers? There's a lot of different things, but I think at one of the homes for this is really our mentorship program. ASAP supports members anywhere in their career. We think about adaptation work as a journey. We don't think about adaptation or resilience as something that has an end state to it. It is something that we are all learning, and we're all going to continue to learn together. In a place where that journey is brought together is really through the mentorship program. And so I'm joined by Tom Isley and by Elin Lai. And Tom is the founder of Isley Architecture, a design and consulting firm in New York City. He's been an ASAP member since 2019, active in the mentorship program in many peer learning groups, especially the policy practice group. And Elin is a community adaptation planner who's been integrating adaptation planning into the master plan processes. She arrived in the USA in 2021 and joined the ASAP Community of Adaptation, ASAP's Community Adaptation Learning Exchange, the Hale group. And being a part of Hale and a mentee of the ASAP's mentorship program has allowed her to comprehend the professional landscape in the US and make impact in her current position and outline a long-term career plan. So Tom and Elin, I'll hand it over to you two.
I think Brianna told me right. I'll go first. I started, so I was in architecture school at the same time as the oil embargo of the 1980s. It was also a time of an economic recession and an intense focus on and contemplation of an interest in appropriate technology, early solar design ideas, nascent historic preservation. and the ideas of adaptive reuse. I went from there to school, from there, actually, it was the height of a recession, couldn't get an architecture job. So I got a master's degree in urban planning, got me to New York City. And then I went to work for large commercial architectural firms, but continued to have an interest in the environment and adaptation issues. And I also developed a keen interest in codes and regulations, particularly regarding environmental issues and and sustainability and energy efficiency. Around 2010, I joined the New York City Mayor's office, where I was tasked with drafting legislation, local laws that were focused on environmental regulations, zoning and building codes, energy efficiency and resilience. And that was fascinating stuff. I have ended up being the main pen for over 60 local laws that are on the books in New York City now. And then Hurricane Sandy happened, and the emphasis shifted from energy efficiency to adaptation, recovery, and resiliency. The targets of the kinds of stuff that legislation I was writing, the programs I was helping develop, shifted from more of an energy efficiency focus to a resiliency focus, adaptation, mitigation, even considering migration for some of the worst hit communities in the New York City area. So toward the end of that work chapter for me, I discovered ASAP. I think I was trolling for some guidelines and some reference documents, and I discovered this organization called the American Society of Adaptation Professionals. And I said, what the hell is that? And joined, and I said, oh, well, here's this network of people that are doing the same kind of stuff. And how cool is that? And I can learn some stuff and network and share some opportunities, which it turned out to be. I immediately kind of got shanghaied into, I think one of the first things I worked on was a messaging program for a slate of federal legislation that was in committee, and came up with, worked with a bunch of folks across the country to come up with this messaging campaign, mostly in support of the bills that were being introduced, and then some caveats for things that we thought should be done better. Doing work in all parts of the country and actually other parts of the world. Keeps me attuned to what's going on legislatively at state levels in different states and even in my own state and at the federal level, which is, I think, something I find extremely helpful. And then I became a mentor, and then I was asked, would you be interested in mentorship? And I said, yeah, sounds cool. This is the second year I've done it. I have made some friends, learned a lot. I mean, to me, it's been an exchange rather than, well, I started to say it's not a teaching moment, but it actually is a teaching moment. It just happens to be a bi-directional teaching set of moments, which is just awesome. Love listening to the experiences of my mentees, sharing some of my own experience, reflecting on my own challenges, being asked challenging questions by my mentees and learning from them, and kind of having our own self-guided experience, sort of taking a little trip down what one's career path is all about. Where are they at? Reflecting on where I'm at, having a heartfelt discussion about what do you want to do when you grow up, and then followed by, do you want to grow up? And reflecting on the ideas, discovering that my mentees have solved things that I'm still grappling with, or they're finding new avenues to address the key issues around adaptation, mitigation, and migration that we're struggling with. I love it. It's great fun. And I think I've made some friends that I'll keep for a very long time. Mm-hmm.
I think I was Thanks, Tom, for sharing this. Then also, it was very great to know different milestones that shape the adaptation profession in US, especially in the architect and urban planning field. So I will also share a little bit of my experience as a mentee and also part of the mentorship team for the community adaptation exchange and peer learning, which is funded by Justin and Sebastian. I saw Justin is also on the line right now. So hi again and good evening, everyone. My name is Eileen. I'm originally from Taiwan and I did my master in Germany and finally moved to US since 2021 as intro have mentioned. And there's also time I start to my journey with the community adaptation learning exchange CALE and ASAP. So I did my thesis about community He adaptation and always wanted to continue my career in a similar path, which is also the motivation why I wanted to join CALE. Being part of CALE really gave me a chance to meet many people, many professionals who are working with community in the climate issue. And last year, with the CALE theme for communication, I have the chance to meet speakers from psychologists, artists, chair of business council, communication director of policy advocacy group, and also independent journalists to share how they communicate different climate risks and facilitating groundwork with the community. Most importantly, this also gave me an understanding the political challenging of adaptation work in US, which is something that I never really aware in Taiwan and in Germany. And I also further have the chance to join the mentor program and pair with Marcus, who is an environmental science policy advocate, good coach, and also community engagement specialist. And his experience really helped me to build a holistic view about climate policy in US from national to the county level, as well as the different career options. And his advice also encouraged me to expand my network within my current organization and outside of it, and even start to make impact through my current role as a land use planner at the county government. So through my job, although my job is not 100% climate related, but I was able to include climate risk and vulnerability assessment into the project analysis presented to the community and discuss with them about the risk of urban heat island and the importance of nature-based solution. And this is also allow me to push an adaptation into parts of the planning recommendation. So through this mentorship program, this really helped me to plan for my career strategy, understanding the trade-off of working with different sectors and how to help myself gain the experience that I need to achieve my career goal. So overall, I really appreciate to have the support of the ESA community and also looking forward to, so because someone like me, I have no idea about the US government structure and planning policy. So this is really, and being part of ESA is really helped me to grow rapidly throughout the past year and help me to get ready to advance my career in US. So I really appreciate about it.
Thank you both so much for sharing your experience and for kind of like think that juxtaposition of having this kind of very, very deep history working in deep into these US contexts like Tom has offered, and Elin bringing this perspective of really learning so much of the structures and being able to use ASAP in this program and the CALE program as a vehicle for bringing that together. I want to highlight for folks that a key way that you can be part of the mentorship program and also part of this cross-learning is to be filling out your member profile in the member portal. The link is going to be coming in the chat, and you can also always turn to ASAP staff for capacity building support. So Rachel, Brianna, and I all have time in our weeks and our day, well, not our every day, but in our weeks to do one-on-one conversations or group conversations to help you to understand who might be in the network to connect to, what's happening across the field. And so use that. It's a member resource. And we love it because of the more we do capacity building one-on-ones, the better we are at capacity building one-on-ones. So kind of zooming out, I want to talk next about policy action. Why does ASAP get into policy? And I think that that's a fair question that you could ask. We're here to connect and support adaptation professionals to advance innovation and equity in the work. So why would we do policy? And it's because we see policy as a mechanism by which we create the enabling conditions for adaptation work to take place. And one of the highlights of this work from the past year has been the National Climate Adaptation and Resilience Strategy Act. And I'm going to talk more about this than I typically would. There's been so many members who have been part of this effort. I want to start first by highlighting ASAP member Cam Adams, who led the development of the National Climate Adaptation and Resilience Strategy Act. ASAP was honored to support the first of its kind legislation as it took shape and garnered bipartisan support. We really see NCARS as a highly functional piece of legislation that would end this kind of ad hoc nature that we all know too well coming from the national federal level, where adaptation policy is being set by executive action, and instead really place the authority for adaptation and resilience action in Congress, giving it congressional authority. If we thought this was important before, which we did, we've seen how important it is with the SCOTUS decision on the EPA, which said that agencies may require congressional authorization for their actions. NCARS is the bill which provides that for us to move forward, developing a national adaptation strategy and also implementing the plan and monitoring and evaluating the plan and ensuring that there's components that are going to be there to achieve equitable and effective adaptation outcomes at the pace and scale that's needed. So ASAP members have been working together to help get NCARS over the finish line as an amendment to the National Defense and Authorization Act. We've been working in coordination with colleagues and partners at Resilience 21, Pew Charitable Trust, Union of Concerned Scientists, and the American Flood Coalition. And in addition to Cam Adams' efforts to get this bill introduced in Congress, we were incredibly fortunate to have the leadership of ASAP members Anna McGinn, the co-chair of ASAP's policy practice group, and a long-term ASAP collaborator through her role at the Environmental and Energy Study Institute, help lead ASAP members advocating for the bill. So Anna led the development of our advocacy strategy and partnered with ASAP staff to get members advocating for this bill in key locations. Anna and Cam couldn't be here tonight, so you were stuck with me telling you all of that information instead of them telling it themselves. I encourage you to reach out to either of them or to find them in a policy practice group meeting, because they know so much about this bill and so much about just legislation related to adaptation and resilience generally. However, I'm super thrilled to be joined by another ASAP member, Lily Swandro Becker, who already got a shout out at the top of this for her work leading our Reconnect affiliated network. Lily stepped up to do advocacy in one of these key locations that we're trying to get buy-in for this bill in no other state than Florida. Lily participated in meetings with Senator Rick Scott and Marco Rubio's offices. And I just kind of lost Lily's bio. So I can't introduce your current title, Lily.
I can do it. It's okay.
Just, it was there. That
Just wait it. You're good.
Lily is amazing. She's an adaptation leader. She has taught me so much about how it is to think about personal resilience and also the resilience of our community. Lily has helped to translate ASAP's knowledge and competencies framework into training and learning guides for the Gulf region. She previously worked at ASAP as our network manager, and today she is the leader for the Reconnect and a leader for all of us in the field and an advocate for great adaptation policies. So Lily, tell us about your meetings.
Thanks, Beth. So I guess just to back up, when we were saying what makes ASAP special to us, I think it was Rachel in the chat who highlighted reciprocity. And for me personally, I won't use this time to go on about why ASAP is so special for me, but a short way to say it is just that. I have gotten so much from my affiliation with the ASAP network. It's really helped me find my path personally as an adaptation professional. And that's happened in so many ways. Policy, though, has not really been one of them traditionally. I don't have a big background in policy. I've worked in adaptation from a natural resource focused in Florida. Most of my work now I'm with an organization called Council on the Uncertain Human Future, and a lot of my work now is focused, very generally speaking, on the personal resilience space. So policy has always kind of been this thing off in the corner that I haven't had a lot of experience with, but have been curious about. And so when this opportunity came up a little while ago to advocate for NCARs in partnership with ASAP, and specifically with a Florida focus, I jumped right on board because I was really curious to learn more. And it felt like such a gift to be able to partner and to have the expertise of other member leaders, Anna and the ASAP staff and the policy group, and other members I've met who have really worked at the forefront and leading this piece of legislation and advocating for it, provides such valuable guidance in how to reach out to a senator's office and how to get one of these meetings and then to get to participate in the meeting. So for me, it was just really exciting and a great learning experience. We met, so the Marco Rubio meeting is still coming up, so I'm looking forward to that one. But we did do the meeting with Senator Rick Scott's office. Again, not something that I would have envisioned myself doing, not a politician that I ever thought I would be meeting with someone on their staff. And so the experience of going in and being really pleasantly surprised by the staffer who seemed to deeply care about the issue. Another Floridian seemed to really care about adaptation, seemed to know so much about the legislation already. I was kind of prepared to really explain it, assuming maybe they wouldn't have even looked at it. And it was really eye-opening for me to meet people that I wouldn't have already, to be so pleasantly surprised, to get to participate and connect with policy here in Florida and on the national level, and to learn a lot. So thank you to ASAP for making that possible. And I'm looking forward to keeping going with this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lily. And thanks for going to do those meetings. I think it can be really intimidating to step out of our space, especially I do think that adaptation and resilience community is pretty tight knit. And I mean, ASAP tries to make it that way. And so then to step out and to kind of take that passion and that expertise to someplace and not know how it's going to be received is an intimidating thing to do. So thank you for taking that leap and then telling us about it not being as scary maybe as it could have felt like before you jumped off. So we do have taped remarks that we're going to share at the end of our program from Representative Pramila Jayapal. She is a congresswoman who represents Washington's 7th Congressional District, and she serves as the chair of the House Progressive Caucus. We were going to share her remarks right now, but we're actually going to move them to the end of our program because we have more members that we want to hear from, and we have more member appreciation stories that we want to make sure get told. And so Representative Jayapal's remarks will be available at the end of our program tonight. But for now, we want to make sure that we get to hear each other's voices and then come back to her words of inspiration for us. And so I said that we're going to talk about kind of 3 highlights. We've talked about that development of careers and the development of the professional space in the mentorship program. We've talked about that kind of enabling of conditions for us to do our work through the policy lens. And of course, we want to talk about our justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion work, both the accomplishments and the way that we at ASAP have seen this work just permeate through the member-led interest groups, through our training programs, and really through things as kind of foundational, or maybe as basic as the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Fund, which is a vehicle by which we transfer dollars throughout the network, moving dollars directly to Black, Indigenous, people of color, and low-income people who are in the adaptation space, who are seeking professional development opportunities, or who are giving back to the network through sharing their knowledge and expertise. So Jedi Funds are a great way to participate in the reciprocal nature through financial resources. ASAP has really been growing over the past year, especially from kind of talking about and trying to cultivate an anti-racist culture and messaging about this transfer of money to seeing that work put into practice. And we are able to put the work into practice because there are so many members who are stepping up and helping to frame for all members, this is what just equitable practice looks like as we meet around our community of practice learning communities, and also meeting in the accountability group, which takes the Jedi statement and has broken it into commitments and is now creating the kind of monitoring and evaluation that ASAP should be using to make sure that they aren't just words on paper, they are kind of values and commitments we're holding ourselves to. And I'm so grateful to have Jeffrey Hebron here to talk more about that commitment and that work. Jeffrey is a professor of sustainable science at Furman University in North Carolina. He serves as a leader of the ASAP Jedi Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, and as part of the microgrant award team from ASAP. There, Jeffrey and ASAP members in Asheville created a framework to engage local residents in a climate equity dialogue to enhance Asheville's climate resilience assessment plan. And so, Jeffrey, I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, everybody. Jeffrey Hebron here, and just wanted to share my highlight of ASAP. And I said in our small group that Jedi is the #1 reason why I enjoy ASAP, and the commitments are not just words on paper, but are actually practiced, and I see that a lot, and so I appreciate that. And then in terms of our commitments that ASAP has that we're working on as the accountability team, we have things like using power to achieve our necessary transformational change. One that I was responsible for is supporting all frontline communities in developing adaptation resources from their lived experience and traditional knowledge. And so that was part of the impetus, well, not impetus, because I didn't know it at the time when we had the micro grant of working on diversity in the city of Asheville, and I didn't realize how pervasive it was throughout ASAP. And so one of the things we did as we were developing our program was we quickly realized that maybe we didn't want to be the ones that had the expertise coming into communities and saying what to do, but we wanted to step back and listen to what was needed. And so that was a very a good humbling moment for us and a teachable moment to say, okay, how can we use this micro grant in the best way? And so we really shifted a lot from actually what we had proposed to ASAP to something else based on getting community input in terms of what needed to be done. And so as a result of doing that, we were also working on these commitments, and part of that I was able to bring from the micro grant experience to ASAP is thinking about, if you remember, oh shoot, I can't remember the name of the movie, but anyway, the movie that comes out, Jerry Maguire, the sports agent movie, and the key term of show me the money. And so that's part of the accountability that I was thinking, oh, well, let's talk about ASAP, show me the money. If we're really committed to Jedi and these principles, that we should then be able to trace the money along those lines. And so in our microgrant program, instead of necessarily paying us or paying for activities, once we found a community partner, we just took that money and supported that community partner. And so the bulk of the funding went to the partner that we identified with and supporting them in something they had already identified in terms of working with the community. And so, you know, part of our team was like, oh, I don't know, what's ASAP going to think about that? That's not exactly what we had planned. And so the whole ASAP team, Brianna and Rachel and everybody was really supportive about, no, well, if that makes the most sense, then that's something that you all should do. And so that was a really good moment for me. And I think the other people in the network of realizing, wow, we really need to rethink kind of how we think about going around and helping other communities in their climate needs. And then I've learned a lot from the other people, some of the other commitments. So Karima had one on talking about creating and sustaining forums for safe interactions, regarding race, discrimination, and equity, and making sure that our resources are accessible and welcoming. And so she has shared a lot of work in terms of working with people with disabilities, how to make our graphics and our presentations more inclusive. And I've learned a lot from that experience. And Alex has talked a lot about, climate stories and the arts and humanities to convey our work. So somebody in the call today was talking about learning about, I think it was Brian that was talking about Bill, sorry, about the limitation. Was it Bill? Brian, I think, talking about the limitations of data and science and looking at other ways of doing that. And so Alex has really been great about sharing his insights on that. So I've appreciated all that work in our Jedi accountability team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for sharing that. And thanks for your work in the accountability group. And I've really enjoyed just kind of hearing the story of especially the Asheville project and how that has worked. There's so many members from ASAP who are in Asheville. And then that product, I think that program ended up bringing in a really kind of new set of participants, members, and perspectives. And so thank you for your work and participation in it, and now everything that you're doing in the Jedi Committee. So, you know, when the ASAP staff heard from members who said, like, we want more of these appreciation sessions, we were like, cool, all right, we're going to put together some things that we really want to appreciate. And then we said, as you registered, what are the appreciation stories that you want to have shouted out? And so some folks added those when they registered. Some people reached out to us. Some people were like, I want to shout them out, but I don't know if I want to shout them out loud in a whole group. And so now I'm going to kind of popcorn around the room and let people who said, yes, I want to shout out this appreciation out loud, do it to it. And so Ginger, this is over to you.
Oh, what a great picture. So yeah, I'm in the Jedi group, and Galen works for Miami-Dade. And so I'm in Eastern Washington, where our biggest threat right now is wildfire smoke. And I get really panicky, and it's very refreshing to see Galen's just kind of plugging away, and he has such a positive attitude. And I feel like if he can keep that in Miami-Dade with the issues that they're fighting, I can keep a hopeful attitude where I am with much less potential threats in the near term. So and he's just very nice and calm, and always has a lovely smile. So it's nice seeing him, and Brianna too, among others.
Thanks, Ginger. That's so nice.
I feel like I've
and
learned so
Brianna
much.
too. Always Brianna. Oh my God.
Always Brianna too. I feel like I've learned so much about facilitation from Galen. I'm so grateful for those lessons and for him in the network. Next, we're going to Kim and her appreciation of Anna Mirandi. You're muted. Wait, unmute. Oh no, don't worry. We'll wait for it.
No.
Wait, not yet.
Can you unplug your headphones?
Oh, I don't have your image on my screen, Brianna. So then I heard your words and Kim tried to talk, and I was like, it doesn't sound like those are the words that would be coming out of her mouth shape, but maybe it is.
Let's come back to Kim.
Okay, Kim, we're gonna come back to you. Don't worry. We are going over to Rebecca or Addie from 2 Degrees Adapt, recognizing and appreciating parametrics.
I think Rebecca had to hop off too, Beth.
Oh, well, I mean, nonetheless, you can see the quote here. You know, this is from the the 2 Degrees Adapt team, I've really enjoyed the meetings with parametrics teams. They've created a fantastic webinar in the co-creation series and was eager to continue their conversation. Their team has been a delight to interact with and to share ideas with. And that is it, right? At its heart, that reciprocity and sharing.
Testing,
Kim, do you want to
testing.
testing? We're there.
Yeah, I was like, it works in the breakout, so I don't know why it's not working. Sorry about that. So anyone that knows Anna Mirandi knows that she is just a wonderful, super, super real human. I appreciate you, Anna, so much. She and I connected originally during the Reconnect group, and we instantly found camaraderie. Have had several phone calls since then, just kind of at times when we were both going through a lot in life. And it was just really nice to have someone in this ASAP network that understands all of the layers of the hard work that we do, and how that can impact some of the things going on in our everyday personal lives. So Anna and I connected that way. I just have always appreciated that. So Anna, appreciate you. Thanks for the chance.
Am I supposed to say something?
You don't have to, only if you want to.
Right back at you, Kim. Right back at you.
Thank you.
Work-life balance,
Kim.
everybody. Work-life balance.
So true. Anna has taught me when I really want something, it's important to light candles and ask for it. And I do. And sometimes it works. So we've talked about the parametric shout out. And oh, awesome. So this is David Severese. Over to you.
Hi, y'all. Thanks for having me. I thought having the baby nearby would be okay and cute, and I realized now it's not. But I wanted to take a moment and recognize Tad for the hard work that he does. And at first, I wanted to say that I appreciate Tad because he shows up. But it's not so much that he's there every meeting, but it's also that he follows up after the meeting. He thinks things through. He produces actions and delivers against those actions. And I think that's really important because we're all so busy that it can be kind of just one conference call to another. And he doesn't just leave it there. He actually makes things happen. And without him and John, you know, I don't think we'd be having any of the robust conversations we've been having for the last year plus.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, David. I would really appreciate that. I didn't realize how much of my hair matched the snow until I see this picture now. But really appreciate it. It's been really fun to get involved. Many thanks to Joyce Coffey for you know, sharing this with me and inviting me in. And I've really enjoyed meeting all of you. And David, great of you to keep it lively.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for that. And yeah, the person who will not just be at that productive meeting, but like take that productive meeting and make it whatever the vision was, so critical for the work. And this is fun. So this is Brian Smoliak. Back to you, David. Is Brian still on?
No, he sent in a recording, but Beth, I think you should just go ahead and read it.
He sent a recording. That's fun. Okay, so we'll have like a little bit recording studio at the end of this. We're here like Jay pause. Oh, there's the baby.
Baby's super cute.
Hello, baby.
Okay, everyone
okay,
enjoy
read
the
it.
baby. I'll get the recording.
It's okay. I could do it.
Okay.
I appreciate David for his enthusiasm and candor. We were first connected by an ASAP staff member. After early conversations, we've continued to cross paths inside and outside of ASAP activities. I admire his direct and tactful engagement with others, as well as his drive for actionable outcomes. Thanks, David, for being part of this community. Brian. Hey, love letters in the adaptation field. I love it. Does anybody else have an appreciation that they want to shout out loud?
I'd like to shout one out for Jessica Hale. She was not able to be here, but she and I have been tackling this thing in Philadelphia, that it's multi-stakeholder sort of big adaptation conversations. And there were some things that I was really struggling with, especially along the lines of the Jedi concepts and bringing in certain communities into these stakeholder discussions. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her and really appreciate the way she was not only able to guide me, but do it tactfully and considerately and educate me on what it was that I was struggling with. So
Totally. All right, Susie, I see your note. Was there a slide on Joyce? Of course there's a slide on Joyce. Who doesn't appreciate Joyce? I don't know what we would be funding or really doing without Joyce Coffee in the space. She's amazing. The shout out to her was from David Dodd, who had to leave, so we took it out. But Joyce, thank you so much for your leadership and your work.
I love you all. I really do. Thanks.
Can I second that?
Mm-hmm.
Joyce has been there in moments for me when I'm like, I'm going to pull my hair out. Like, I don't know what I'm doing and what I'm going to do. And Joyce has been so calm and asked me the right questions and to get me back on track thinking and inspired, not just like to neutral, but then to be inspired, which I think is important when you're being a mentor. So thank you so much for your friendship, your mentorship. So grateful for you. And I'm so grateful for the many friends I have on this call. I won't name you all, but like Julia, Lily, Brianna, y'all know who you are. Rachel, Beth.
Yangbo, I see your hand up. I don't hear your hand up, but I see it.
Yes, excellent. So I need to send this in absentia since Chris Smith can't make it while she's moving a house tonight over in Montana. But just like to really thank her for how proactive she has been in terms of getting the funding finance initiative moving, is even in follow-ups around the pilot projects, and the very namely that she's staking out ground in possibly getting one of the first public wealth trusts, urban wealth funds, however you call it, of a city or town in that size, where she's working, northern Montana, northern North Dakota as well, around being able to recycle land value into climate smart, equitable, and resilient public infrastructure. So definitely helping facilitate her along on that journey, and just like to send this message to her in absentia. So I hope she catches this recording once all is done.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Oh, yeah, Lily.
Yeah, I'd just like to piggyback off Anna's comment in the chat and verbally share my appreciation for Susie Mosier. Connecting with you, Susie, has been one of the incredible gifts I've gotten through being part of the ASAP network. And I just can't say enough for your friendship, your mentorship. It's single-handedly, it's changed my whole trajectory in my career. And the work that you're leading and continuing to do with the Adaptation project and everything else that you do is really just transformational. And I'm honored to be along for the ride and be a colleague with you in that work. But thank you for everything.
Agree. The active hope that Susie has taught me to think about in my work has made it possible in some times that have felt impossible.
Thank you both. That's really kind. I am just so glad how you carry it all forward. That makes all the difference.
Amy Rapp, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I think we need to put a shout out to Jim Fox. He's, just such a special person, and he's certainly been very supportive of me and my continued development, as well as a few others in our group. And he's just there. He's available. He's down to earth. He's really awesome. Great communicator and encourager, and has a wonderful style of leadership. And so I just want to, put him out there. I know he's not here tonight, but he's just been an amazing leader in the group and guider in the organization. And I'm grateful for having a chance to participate in his monthly meetings. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
For sure. Thank you for sharing that. I think that Jim and his spirit of work and sharing is so critical. He has said to me, Beth, why do you act surprised that ASAP is my go-to place? Like, this is what we do sometimes. He's like, you. But I was like, I'm so glad you're using it. He says, of course I'm using it. What else would I do in the work? God, his heart is filled with generosity. He's a gift. I think I'm supposed to hand this over to Rachel to introduce us into our next and our second final breakout, talking about what makes it special. I know there's a lot of stories still to share. So Rachel, you want to take us into our next section? And I think you're going to take us out too.
Sure. So we just want to let everyone have some more time to be together. So really simply, we're going to put you in breakout rooms so you can maybe meet some more new people, maybe laugh and cry and hug some old people. No, people you've known for a long time. And again, just reflecting on what we appreciate about one another, what makes ASAP special, and why we're all here together doing the work. So just another chance to be in a smaller space, and hope everyone will have a nice time chatting and being together. I hope you got to meet someone new. And I just want to, the folks in my breakout room made me take off my background. So now you get to see the beautiful artwork and games behind me. Nothing like having a member appreciation reception in your basement. Raise your hand if you're in your basement.
Hey, that's okay.
Thanks, Ginger. I think should I do the screen share, or is someone else going to do the screen share?
I can do it.
Okay, awesome. So I really just wanted to close us out with 2 things. So the first is that we have some calls to action. We've had a few calls to action throughout our time together tonight, and I want to re-emphasize a few of them. So one is that we hope that if your interest is piqued with respect to supporting adaptation policy, that you will take some of the actions that we put in the chat around supporting the National Climate Adaptation Resilience Strategy Act. And so we'll put some of those opportunities back in the chat again, so you can have them anew. If you are inspired by hearing about ASAP's justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion work, I want to really encourage you to either donate or apply to the Jedi Fund. And as I shared before, I was told that my screen was blurred. So now you can really see my not so beautiful drawing focus on reciprocity. But I just, for me, the Jedi Fund, its existence and the way that it operates is really the embodiment of reciprocity. And so I hope you'll consider taking either one of those actions. Either one of those actions is so critical to support the network. That you'll come and join us in the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. I am always blown away by how many members tell us that engaging in the Jedi Committee, that they don't have that type of opportunity anywhere else. And so even if you do have the opportunity to engage in justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion work somewhere else, and I hope that you do, that you'll come and join us in the ASAP Jedi Committee and really experience what that space is like for yourself. There may be a couple of folks on the line who aren't members yet. And if that's the case, I mean, if not tonight, then what else is going to convince you to become an ASAP member? So you can take that action right now. But of course, I think almost everyone is a member. And so really what I want to encourage folks to do is get a friend to join, get 2 friends to join, get 5 friends to join. I mean, Joyce Coffey, I think she got about 300 friends to join. So you don't have to go quite that far, but please do share your love of ASAP with others by encouraging them to join. And then please update your member profile. Just do it. I mean, I'm not going to say it only takes 2 seconds because like it might take more than that, but just do it. It really helps us help you. And you know, a couple of folks shared about how grateful they were for the individual connections they received to other members. And when we have more information about you in your member profile, that allows us to make those connections in a deeper way, more efficiently, and really get you the resources and the people that you need. A lot of folks have shared in the chat that they're so excited to come together and be together at the National Adaptation Forum, which is happening October 25th through 27th in Baltimore. And so we want to really encourage folks to register for the National Adaptation Forum. We will have an ASAP member discount code coming in through the network news, so watch out for that. And then we're going to be hosting a happy hour on October 26th in the evening after the formal programming at NAF is closed. And so we really hope that you will join us there. Tickets for that happy hour will go on sale in the coming month or so. Let's see. I think with that, next slide, please. Awesome. I think everyone here is already so involved in everything that's happening at ASAP, but here's a reminder of all the things that are going on in ASAP. You can join a peer learning meeting. You can come to our Principles of Adaptation training that happens quarterly, and our next one is coming up on August 24th. We have Melissa Diaz and Susan Eco presenting, and look, all of our presenters are absolutely amazing, but I have to say, I am just so excited about this pair of presenters. So join us for that, or better yet, get a friend to join us for that, because this is a really great entree into the adaptation field and adaptation work is our Principles of Adaptation training. And then we have a co-creation webinar coming up on September 21st that we hope you'll register for as well. And finally, I just want to, please make a donation to our ASAP Giving campaign. As Beth said, there's really no better way. Well, I said there was no better way to show your love of ASAP than get someone to join. So I think these things are equal. Get someone to join ASAP and make a donation to ASAP, and encourage your colleagues and your friends to donate to ASAP as well. And we'll be sharing out the Jamboard from tonight. That is just really a living testament to how much people are giving to and getting from the network. And we would just love it if we could also see that in our donation campaign as well. And then finally, just want to leave us with the really feeling of fullness and love and hope and connection that I'm feeling from our time together tonight. I really hope that that has been a similar experience to what you've had, this opportunity to be together, to share what we love about being in community with one another, to strengthen the network and build and grow the adaptation field. It's just an honor and a privilege to learn from all of you and to be with all of you, to have this be my day job. I'm so grateful, and I'm looking forward to many more times like this together.